Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
That's right. You want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mine today. Yeah. Welcome to the February 1st meeting, Lorain County Board of Commissioners. I get the dog, right?
You got the dog.
Right.
Very handsome dog, I might add.
Just like its commissioner, right?
Yes.
Our featured dog this week is a Rottweiler. How old, you know? About a year and a half old. Great personality. It was found in Wellington. Will be available for adoption on February 3rd, so stop and get a great pet. And I can't believe the owners haven't come looking for this dog yet.
He's beautiful.
Yeah. Our quote for today: for every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Ralph Waldo Emery. Teresa?
Resolutions, Job and Family Services bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I forgot I wasn't
Kayla.
president anymore. I
Sorry.
had a flashback, sorry.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Wait a minute.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Mrs. Blair.
Aye.
Travel expenses, your turn.
Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Everything join you.
No, you look at me dirty.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the auditor, authorize a refund to North Ridgeville City Schools in the amount of $6,323.60 for an incorrect conveyance fee. This refund is due to the school being a tax-exempt entity.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Jim?
Commissioners, I need a brief executive session to continue our discussion on our ongoing negotiations with regard to steelworkers, I did present you with some information the last time we met. We really didn't talk about it too much, and time permitting, I'd like to have that conversation be more fully developed so that we know where we're going to be at in the next couple of weeks. I do not have any hires or personnel actions this week, so that should be my only subject.
I might want to bring something up in regards to that. If we can still talk about it.
Yes, if it's a new, well,
It's for a new hire.
new hire. Fine.
Can waive the reading of the same for Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting minutes for January 11th and 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Authorize the execution and delivery and consent to change the remarketing agent for the $2.6 million County of Lorain, Ohio multi-mode variable rate industrial development revenue bonds series 2000 for Cutting Dynamics Inc. project, and authorize the termination of the existing remarketing agreement relating to the bonds and approving related matters, and authorize the county administrator to execute on behalf of the board. And actually, this is just replacing McDonald Inc. to National City Investments Inc.
Fiscal agent, basically.
Yeah, refinance.
So
Yeah,
moved.
for public clarification, these are conduit bonds. They're not county, per se, county bonds. They're the tax-exempt economic development bonds that we do, so this has no overall effect on the county or whatsoever. We're just a pass-through agent.
And this was requested by the issuer.
Issuer, correct, Commissioner.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Community Development Department, reimburse Lorain County for salary and fringe benefit expenses in the amount of $51,723 associated with the completion of the FY05 Small Cities Formula Grant from Community Development Block Grant to be paid from other expenses account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mrs. Blair.
Aye.
Under Solid Waste, approve and enter an electronic waste collection program contractual agreement with RET3 Job Corp. Inc. Cleveland for scrap computer, television, and other electronic equipment collection services for the provision of refurbished computers for distribution to needy organizations in Lorain County for the year 2007.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Children's Services, authorize various additions and deletions of personnel in Lorain County Children's Services Department to utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 2000 not to exceed 20,000, Shell Oil Gasoline Card not to exceed 200 for work-related items to include conferences and for such items as food, lodging, transportation, telephone, gas, and oil, minor vehicle maintenance, and emergency repairs of county-owned or leased vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Under the Sheriff, award contract to BNC Communication Parma in the amount of $23,601 for the mobile computer hardware installation and monthly cellular fee. Two bids were open on November 27th, this being the most responsive, complying with specifications. This contract will be paid from professional services and computer hardware equipment accounts.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the Veterans, authorize James C. Youngkin Jr., Director, Service Officer, Lorain County Veterans Service Commission, to apply for and utilize Laura Met Visa credit card for the year 2007, not to exceed $2,500 for work-related items to include conferences and for such items as food, lodging, transportation, telephone, gas, and oil, minor vehicle maintenance, and emergency repairs of county-owned or leased vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator?
That was pretty quick.
That was real quick.
Yeah, the days I want the meeting to go long, they don't. Commissioners, we've had extensive dialogue over the last 2 or 3 weeks, off and on, concerning the state of the county's general fund budget, the state of our anticipated revenue, which we all know, I think everybody in Lorain County knows, has been significantly decreased for the 2007 year for a variety of reasons. Expenses are going up and revenues are going down. The biggest one was the loss of local government fund. Sales tax has remained fairly steady, but it's never been a big increase. It's just slowly goes up while expenses have been continued to escalate. During those examinations and re-examinations of our budgets, we have talked about the potential for an initiative to increase the sales tax by 0.25%, which is 25 cents on every $100 of discretionary spending, because most sales tax is gained off of discretionary spending. I was asked to look into potential dates for a process to put the tax on, and what I can report to you is that you have to advertise 2 consecutive weeks in the same paper with the same information, and then you have to have 2 public hearings, and those public hearings should occur, say, on a Monday or Friday. So if you wanted to do something within the next 30 days, the dates that you would be looking for would be February 6th and 13th for advertising, and February 19th and 23rd for public hearings, and then on your agenda for March 1st for a decision, should you decide to want to start that process. I think it's necessary. I think we need to start. I think we need to fully explain what the issues we're facing, and we have been facing for a number of years, are. I was asked to get you those dates. Those are the dates. We can do something with it, or we can do nothing with it, but I'm suggesting that we maybe have some discussion over that.
You said 2/19 and 2/23 for public hearings?
That's correct. That would be a Monday and a Friday, Commissioner.
Is there any suggested time for these public hearings?
2/19 is President's Day, we're
think
closed,
so.
it's a holiday.
You sure?
Do we have, I didn't bring my
At
folder
least
with
3
me.
days, no more than 10 days or something,
Correct.
Jerry? How is that?
No, the notice is 10 days.
You have to do the first publication after the second. You have to do the first hearing prior to the second publication.
Right, and the hearing is
And is this gonna go on general election? I'm
Hmm?
assuming, general election?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay, because you gotta have so many days for that too.
First, we need to establish the hearings.
Right.
You have to have the first hearing prior to the second publication.
Well, the 19th's not going to work.
Why did you tell us about it then?
Let us pull the calendar for a moment. Well, certainly, we can, then we'll need to move up the, if we go out on the 4th, which is Sunday, let's start with that. You can do the 4th, and then you can do the 11th, okay?
Okay.
And then you can have the first public hearing on the 21st. Okay? And you can still have, I don't think there's a requirement for how many days in between the 2 public hearings. So you can still
It's
have the
7.
second public hearing on the, is it 7 days?
Usually it's 7. It's one
I don't see that on my sheet.
I know Scott Saracen had the dates there. Jim, can we get a clarification on the dates?
Yeah, right now,
I know
Commissioner.
Prosecutor Saracen was working on it.
Right, I mean, these are dates that we thought we had firmed up, but Jerry just showed me something else. I would be looking on the public hearing, 3 to 10 on the public, right? Okay, so that's, well, we're not okay, 21st, 22nd, man, what counts as a day? And the 23rd? Well, that's a Friday, and that's, okay, Commissioners, so let's 23rd, 26th. Okay, let's try it again, if I may.
Okay.
February 4th and the 11th for the notice. Those are Sundays. The public meetings would be on the 21st and the 26th. And that still puts you on your agenda on March 1st.
2/21 is a Wednesday, and 2/26 is a Monday.
Correct.
Need a motion to that effect, Teresa?
No, we need
No?
to talk about a time yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Commissioner.
And Wednesday is Ash Wednesday.
Correct.
that we're really going to do penance, right?
You need an awful lot of ashes, Commissioner.
Oh, beg your pardon.
Bless you, Commissioner.
Thinking of ashes makes me sneeze.
Once again, this is a proposal. This would put you in the process. You have time through the process to take input and talk to people and move forward. Clearly, if you don't want to enter the process, that's your prerogative too. And during the process, you can make up your mind what you want to do. But I think that everybody realizes that we need to at least start having some dialogue on something.
So time element, Commissioner, you're looking at your calendar?
Yes, I'm interested in what time you're talking about. Are you talking about?
Well, what time is that one? Do you have a meeting
Well,
there?
I have a question mark there, so I don't know if that's been finalized or not.
Should they be the same time as Commissioners' meetings at 9:30 in the morning?
Well, I think it makes some sense. We normally can do very well having 9:30 meetings. It works pretty well for the schedule.
Consensus, 9:30?
Here in this room?
Yeah, I would guess. It's the largest room we've got.
Just to let you know, on that Wednesday is the sheriff's sale, so it probably will be busy up here with people here.
Yeah, but we do the
so.
sheriff's sale in the old room, right?
Right, I'm just
Okay.
saying, I mean,
Okay.
more people will come, so.
Okay.
We'll have a more robust discussion.
We get some overflow from there to here. David?
Good morning, Commissioners. I just had two brief questions. One, how much material will be covered, is expected to be covered in such a public hearing? And is there a problem with having it in conjunction with the Commissioners' meeting itself on Thursday? Those are my two questions.
Actually, having it in conjunction with the Commissioners' public meeting, because of the dialogue that we've had over what constitutes a public meeting, Madam Clerk and I usually have that discussion about once a quarter.
It's actually a special.
We thought possibly not leaving a technicality out there to be exploited would probably be better if we didn't have it at a Commissioner's regular public meeting. But I mean, I think that's a question better placed for council.
It will have to be segregated as a separate hearing, much like we do annexations or Ron Twining's various grant hearings. It has to be a separate hearing as part of, but there's nothing that precludes it from having it at the same day as the Commissioners' hearings.
I guess you could move the 21st to the 22nd, which would be your normal board meeting.
Except that on the 22nd.
There's Lorain State of the City, and that's a
Yes,
busy day. It's
it
the
starts at
22nd.
noon, and we'd like to be there.
I think I would prefer to segregate these meetings because this is just about this issue. No offense, David, I mean, but this could be a long day, who knows? So, I mean, based on, I hate to have time constraints on the amount of time for the hearing. But what time on that Wednesday and Monday, Commissioners? Is 9:30? 9:30
Whatever you
a.m.?
want.
Yeah, I mean, that's our normal business, time we get here and get all of our.
Mr.
So sorry, it'll be advertised in the Journal and the Chronicle?
Correct.
I think we should do both. I know we swap back and forth, but I think
No,
this is a
just- I think
significant
it has to
issue.
be both
Okay.
general publications.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Lorain County Board of Commissioners establish 2 hearing dates to consider a sales tax for Lorain County, 1/4% sales tax. The first hearing being on February 21st at 9:30 a.m. The second hearing being February 26th at 9:30 a.m. And the clerk to advertise these hearings on February 4th and February 11th in both the Chronicle Telegram and the Morning Journal.
I'll second that, Commissioner.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I just want to say that I will support the hearings. I think it's important for the public to hear this information in the straits that we are in right now, but I'm not actually saying that I'm going to be in favor of the tax, but I will be in favor of the hearings.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to make sure with Jerry that I covered all the necessary points in my motion.
Jerry wasn't listening, Commissioner.
You and Jim were looking about imminent and pending.
No,
and-
I was telling him I wasn't going to be here on the 26th, but we'll have it covered. If the clerk could read back the motion.
Commissioner Blair
I
made a
assume we
motion to
said it
have
for-
two
we said
public
it.
hearing dates to consider the sales tax for Lorain County, one to be held February 21st at 9:30, the second, the 26th at 9:30, and the clerk to advertise in the Morning Journal and Chronicle Telegram on February 4th and the 11th.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Is there anything further? Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Ennis? Oh, you any more, Jim?
I was actually just going to say, I
I
think
guess
that's more than enough.
the
for
only
this
thing
morning.
is, are you going to make a motion as to what sales tax you're going to consider?
I did say 1/4%.
Okay. And do you know what statute you're going to go under? Is it going to go under this one?
We do, but you have to tell us because you provided us information.
Commissioner, I recommend that the statute you use is 5739.02 and 574.021. We only currently have a 0.5%, what they classify as the piggyback tax, that is dedicated to general fund operation, and we also have a 0.25 that's dedicated to the operation of jail, and we still have a permissible 0.25% under that statute, and there's still a remaining 0.5 under an additional statute that we don't need to use right now. So I think we should use the 1% piggyback right now. So I would recommend that those are the ones that, the guidelines that you use. Do they need to put that into the
Do we
resolution?
need to make that in form of a
Yes,
motion?
I think we need to.
Jerry?
Yes, you need to add the
Are both of those
specific.
code sections applicable?
Yes. One's a sales tax and one's a use tax.
Okay, thank you. I move that the sales and use tax, Ohio Revised Code sections that Mr.
Excuse me, one more, Madam Clerk.
That's why I'm not Madam Clerk, I'm a commissioner. He's having fun today.
You want to be commissioner now?
You've been sitting next to me all this time, and you're not really the commissioner?
I was a clerk for a long time.
Commissioner,
That was confusing.
as well as those statutes, just to be on the safe side, I would also indicate that the tax is going to be used for the ongoing operation of general fund departments, because there's certain sections under that code that you can dedicate that tax to, and one of them is the continued operations and funding of the general fund.
And how many years are we going?
Well, are we getting ahead of ourselves?
Yeah, and that for the
Well-
public hearing, I mean, that would determine what we're going to actually end up doing based on the public hearing and information that's discovered.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be this complicated coming in here,
Okay.
but
You didn't think the job was going to be that complicated either. And then you got here, right?
that's correct.
Okay.
Madam Commissioner.
No, thanks. No, Jerry, my question is to you. We have, after these public hearings are concluded, we have to make a decision on whether we're going to proceed or not. And I believe it's at that time that we should be making these determinations.
Okay, we'll work out the notice with the clerk.
Okay, now, before that, do we need to stipulate the Ohio Revised Code sections?
I would say in the notice it has to be in.
Well, as long as we get the notice correctly, we'll be
The
all
notice,
right.
it should state the ORC numbers.
Scott Saracen had numbers and dates and everything that was going on, so maybe he'd be the gentleman to call out of Prosecutor Will's office.
Okay.
In which case, then, I think I should make a motion to refer to the two code sections that you cited.
5739.02 and 5740.21.
Also move.
I'll second.
Anything further? Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Now, is that good enough for now, Jerry?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Anything
Jerry?
else, Mr.?
Done?
No, I think we were still on Jim. Were we
Yeah.
done?
Jim said he had enough to say.
That was more than enough for me
Okay.
for the rest of the week.
Oh, good.
Jerry, did you have anything?
I have no report.
Commissioner's report.
Just wanted to give the employees of Lorain County a little heads up. Those of you that are smokers and are sick and tired of going out and into the cold and freezing yourselves to death to smoke, the insurance is covering patches at 100%, And a lot of people in the county that I've talked to are taking a prescription called Chantix. It's Chantix. It is not covered under our insurance policy. I did call Drug Mart this morning to find out what the cost is if you don't have insurance, and it is $113.19. And we do have an old resolution back from 1997 that will reimburse somebody that's trying to quit smoking for patches and which are free, but for prescriptions or other types of means to quit smoking at $120. So if you are interested in quitting smoking and want to pursue one of these, there is that refund available to you for $120. So that's my report.
The
Maybe
Madam
enough to
Commissioner,
Relay for Life in Lorain this year, Commissioner.
would you like to expand that resolution and add that script? We reimbursed to, I think, $150 right now.
It says $120 in the
120?
resolution.
I haven't seen it in a number of years. And do you want to add a one-time script for that?
Well, I thought when I asked you about it, you said that it was going to cost $110 or something per individual on our plan.
Yes, yes.
Well, not every individual on our plan is a smoker and going to utilize this prescription, so I would say the $120 per person who wanted to use it would be more cost effective.
Yeah, I was just trying to be helpful. I thought our resolution only spoke to patches, though.
One-time reimbursement of $120 to cover over-the-counter nicotine patch system. Yeah, it does say just patches.
Yeah, I was just trying to be helpful. I know you and I have dialogued on this a little bit.
We can extend it for this.
Yeah, there's two things I can share with you. First, that our third-party medical carrier has a separate program that they'll pay for the patches for free.
Right.
And that doesn't cost us anything on our health care. The one thing I wanted to make sure is they weren't giving us something for free that we paid for. Sometimes that occurs.
Go for you.
But they have a special program that they're running, so the patches would probably be very much cost-effective if we directed our employees to go through the medical providers to seek reimbursement for the patches, and maybe we could be more cost-efficient if we handled a new drug that was on the market. I understand it's pretty good drug.
From what I'm hearing, a lot of people are quitting, and it's a 30-day supply, and they're quitting in like 8 days.
How about we handle a one-time 30-day dispensing? It's the same cost. Well, let them choose. I mean, we want to encourage them to do that. And all it does is take a little housekeeping on that resolution right there, and I think that'll achieve the goals that you want.
Okay. Yeah, can we change it to incorporate that prescription, and do we have to have an actual resolution?
You can just put a modification to that right from the floor here and just gain
I
support.
make a motion to change it, this resolution to include prescription Chantix or any other prescription to help people quit smoking.
And I would further just go on a one-time 30-day
Right.
dispensing.
One-time 30-day.
I'll second.
Before I go any further, what resolution number is that? Which one are we in?
97164,
The date? Do you have the date there?
February 27th.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah, it's 10 years old.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
That concludes my report.
Commissioner Blair?
I'd just like to remind anybody who's interested that tomorrow the Lorain County Community Alliance will be meeting in this room at 9 a.m. and our speaker will be Martin Irvin, the new president and CEO of Team Lorain County, who will come to us after groundhog breakfast at Jack Matthias at 7:30. And also, I'd just like to tell my fellow commissioners that I was invited to have lunch at JVS yesterday with a group of instructors and who are interested in our Workforce Investment Act and the Workforce Development Agency, and they're going to be applying for funds for their students, and they wanted to let me know what they've been doing, and they're kind of excited about what they've done and what they hope they'll be able to do with this round of funds from our Workforce Development Agency. And I want to give this to Mr. Cordes because he's such a great administrator. This is from their Lorain County JVS Culinary Academy, and it's got a really nice treat inside. Hal, if you could pick this up. This is a really nice promotional piece for the JVS, and inside is a really delicious treat. I ate mine. They gave me 2.
Couldn't you get a bigger box?
Yeah, they didn't have a bigger treat in there, so all you get is that. And lunch was delicious. For those of you who might not know, in their Buckeye room there, the culinary students serve lunch Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And they sat us at a table kind of right in the middle of the room, and they said that that was all they had available. And we were there early, like 11, and maybe 11:30, 12 o'clock. All of a sudden, everybody came in and filled up the whole room, and there really wasn't room for anybody else there. So they are open to the public. If you want information about it, call out there at the school. But they have wonderful food, and they'd be happy to see you. Thank you.
The food is very good out there, but isn't that by reservation, Commissioner?
I believe most of those people who they seated afterwards had reservations.
by
I don't know if
reservation.
all of them are reservations or not. They're not open on Monday or Friday.
Short report this week. It was a pleasure going to State of the City that Mayor Grace presented at Westland Village. He did a very good job presenting the positives of the city of Elyria. We've now been to 2, State of North Ridgeville and the State of Elyria. Looking forward to State of Lorain and booking a date for the State of the County address. Mr. Cordez.
He's still
The,
talking.
we're still working over this. You know, I wasn't completely sure that we were going to engage in this process, and I was just going to have the dialogue. We just want to make sure we're closing any gaps while you guys are reporting here. I did have some discussion with Mr. Titilio on this, and I think that will be good for the beginning or the middle of April. I'll have more to report back to the board in about a week on that. And my understanding is still the same from the last time we discussed it, that you want to have a lunch event. I'm looking for a venue that provides us the opportunity to use technology more fully than we did at the last event, and will give us a more professional presentation. Our last one was good. It was our first one, but lessons learned, and I noticed there were several things that we need to do better to send and demonstrate our message to the public. So I'll have more next week for you.
Thank you.
Next Thursday at 11 o'clock will be our investment advisory meeting. Also next Thursday at 12 p.m., the commissioners are going to have an executive session with Mr. Flanagan regarding litigation issues. And then one more thing. I need to make a motion, yeah.
You need to make a motion. You are the commissioner today.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
And I
See you,
second
Betty.
that motion. We're done.
I'll write it down.
After our last meeting, we had to establish dates for public hearings in our county ditch maintenance, and Soil and Water could not make it that day because they were going to be in Columbus at seminars. So I need to schedule it for the following Thursday, the 8th, at 10:05 and 10:15.
Also move.
I'll second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Thank you, Teresa.
Madam Clerk.
Cortez?
Our attorney has one more caveat to that resolution.
Going back to that resolution, Commissioners, I mean, if we know at this time what we anticipate doing, I think it would be better to go ahead and announce the period of time we think this is going to be, if it's going to be a continuing levy.
A continuing tax.
It's not a levy, Jerry.
Tax, right, I'm sorry. Well, it's a levy of a tax.
I don't
Technically, it's a
understand
levy.
why we have to establish that at this time. I don't even think that's been thought about or considered. And I really think that's something that will come after the hearings. I mean, otherwise, why would we have the hearings? Does someone disagree with me?
well,
I
So-
actually agree with you, Commissioner.
I
Why
indi-
would we know what we're
Okay.
doing
I-
until we've gone through the hearing process?
I indicated the same things to council, that I thought that those things would be more fully fleshed out during the process, but the public announcements are probably critical to what you can vote on.
Well, we'll make sure they're correct.
And-
I just did want to, did we get the right did we say 5739021, Teresa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
5740.21.
021, okay.
May I
Right.
suggest this? We're going to have an executive session to brief the steelworkers. During that time, Jerry, if you could check with Scott and you three to get your heads together to make sure that we have done it appropriately so we don't have to redo it.
All right,
If we have to do something, we need to come back to conclude any action that we need to take on anything that Jim's presenting to us, so we could update that at that time.
That sounds like really good, a good decision. So we'll do that and get it done for you, Commissioner. And just so everybody knows, because sometimes we get accused of contriving things and coming out here and everything's being decided. You can see that there's nothing.
It is.
Nothing was such thing happened with this. Otherwise, we would have been pretty slick here, zooming right through it. So I apologize for the struggle, but we just want to make sure that we close any gaps.
And I can always pull from the last sales tax what we did.
Maybe Mr. Ennis could take a look at that with you too. That would help out quite a bit.
Great idea. So they don't call you commissioner for nothing.
Board correspondence.
I move the reading be waived.
I'll second it.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Public comment?
Shirley R. Johnson, Oberlin.
Good
I
morning,
want to
Shirley.
agree with Miss Blair that JVS is a great place to go for lunch. That little silver box contains a chocolate truffle.
Hey,
Thank
you
you,
ruined the
Shirley.
surprise.
Oh, I took it out. I gave him nothing in the box.
I have a number of those empty boxes at home. I don't know why I'm saving them
I'll take them
exactly.
back for a refill.
You can recycle them.
I want to get a clarification on the clerk's report number 2. I assume when you meet that day, that litigation will be more characterized more correctly.
It's a
Is that,
meeting of
I
the
thought that
county
was,
commissioners.
actually, I thought that Mr. Flanagan was coming in today. Is that next week? He's decided to do that?
Next week. I have written down.
Oh,
his
that's
notes.
fine.
It says February 8th.
What is your specific question?
Well, it says he's going to meet with you in executive session regarding litigation issues. Got to be imminent.
It's pending.
Actually, it's not pending or imminent, it's in progress.
It's current.
That's what I mean.
Well, that's all. It just needs to be specified
Pending,
when it
imminent,
happens.
Now we have current.
Okay.
Litigation issue.
Well, whatever. I assume it'll be on the agenda next time, and it will be stated correctly or clearly at
I
that
will
time.
remind the commissioners next week that it will be current litigation issues.
Well, I don't know whether that's adequate or not. I'd have to look it up again.
Just leave it
Off
off,
the top
Teresa.
of my head. And under correspondence, number 6, New Russia Township requests immediate attention and response on the sheriff's reduction of services for enforcement in the rural areas. Has that happened?
Sheriff?
Sheriff Smetty, would you like to respond to Shirley's question? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Morning.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning,
I
Sheriff.
thought that might come up, but, by the way, I was at the township meeting, and I just explained to them about my budget being cut 2.5%, and obviously everybody else was cut 5%. The only time I told them that we're really going to suffer at this point as far as services is, with the jail, obviously the inmates that are in the jail, when they go to the hospital for certain times, we have to guard them. We have times where we have 2 or 3 inmates in the hospital at times. That has happened in the past. When that happens, I have to take my deputies from the road to guard them at the hospitals. At that point, it may leave 3 road patrol deputies on the road. In the past, we've actually called people in on overtime when we run into that situation. I've had to freeze my overtime, obviously I got to try to find $220,000 out of my budget. So overtime is one of the things that I've addressed. So I'm not calling anybody in. So that's when services that's not going to happen every day, but it is going to happen at points. So if that answers your question,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Just let them know that we're not cutting road patrol per se. We're just
Right,
cutting
I've not laid
overtime.
anybody off.
Right,
But at times, services will suffer at certain points when you run into those kind of situations.
right. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome.
No one else? Move into executive session as outlined by our county administrator.
I'll second.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
treat, okay? No one can deny the loving devotion we get from our dogs, and I think we all agree we get back more love than we give them. I'm Dick Goddard. I'm reminding you, if you share your love with a dog, you'll never regret it. There's really nothing like a dog to spark up your life, whether you're a youngster, a senior citizen, or somewhere in between. And dogs have a whole lot of affection to share. Okay, is that good? You don't have to go far to hear heartwarming adoption stories.
With my husband is like saying man's best friend. He truly loves that dog. He feels it's part human. It's his second daughter, as Erica said. It's definitely a prize. She's queen of the house, basically. She's a good lover. She gives us a lot of attention. She's a good girl.
We had a cat before we had Abby, and Abby adapted very well. She is best friends with that cat. She will not harm that cat in any way. She's amazing. I love her. When I'm in bed at night, Abby will jump up with me and she will pull the covers back and she will lay under the covers and lay her head on the pillow just like a human.
I encourage anyone to go to the Lorain County Kennel to adopt a dog. It's given our family great satisfaction and a great reward.
After, you know, a bad day at work or anytime you come home, it's just always nice. They kind of turn your mood around when you come in the door, and they wagging their tails and jumping on you, and it's a great feeling to know that they're happy to see you and that they love you just as much as you love them. She is good with our other dog. She's good with people. She likes attention, and she likes to cuddle up with you.
It's funny when Lily, when you kind of discipline her sometimes when she does something bad, or she always seems to roll on her back and put her paws in the air and just look up at you with a sad look. So it's kind of hard to even get mad at her when she does something like that. So we kind of laugh at that.
And it's always amusing when she does get a spurt of energy and want to run around, and we're always like, oh my gosh, Lily's going to play now.
Yeah,
so
like sometimes, like when I'm on the couch or whatever, and she'll hop down, and she always like tries to bite her own tail, and then that kind of like keys on our other dog, Rocky, to chime in and try to, you know, bite at her tail a little bit, and then they start playing around a little bit.
One day we came home with some food from, I just really wanted a burger. So we had a burger and I had it sitting on the tray table by the couch, and I got up for a minute and got a drink, came back, and Lily was licking her lips. She had eaten the whole thing. And I was not very happy with her, so I screamed and told Kurt to come down and get her away from me because I was just so upset. But we both lived, and I was fine afterwards. One of the best things about adopting a dog from the kennel, at least for us, was, again, just giving this dog, who knows what would have happened to her, a new life, and also giving our other dog a companion during the day. It's just fun to have the two dogs and take them for walks and watch them play, and it brought us closer as well.
You know, it just makes you feel better as a person that, you know, you're giving a dog a better chance to live a life.
Actually, I enjoy the exercise because I need to, trying to lose weight. Salem makes me get out of the house every day, and so I have to take him for a walk, even if I don't want to. And he's not that much trouble because he was pretty much housebroken when I got him from the pound. I really like the older pet because Salem was kind of, whoever had him before, they really kind of housebroken, so I didn't really have to go through the potty training deal. I just had to let him out and find a place for him to go. And I think older pets, especially for people who don't have children, are kind of good because Salem, he's real playful, but he's not, he gets tired and he lays down and he doesn't want to be bothered, and that's fine with me. So he's not always wanting to play, you know, because puppies have a lot of energy. And Salem has quite a bit of energy, but sometimes he just lays on his pillow and he's like, don't bother me, I won't bother you. And sometimes when he wants to play, and that's okay. I got Salem at the Lorain County Dog Pound. I found him on the internet, actually. They had his picture on the internet, And so I called, and he was still there. And so I immediately went over and looked at him. We went outside and played, and he jumped in the car and wouldn't get out, and there we were. So we were on our way home. So it was love at first sight. He's a very good companion. I can always depend on him to be here and greet me with, open arms when I come in the door. He's very protective of me, and he lets me know when anyone is outside or in the driveway. So I feel safe with Salem. Even though he's a small dog, he gives me a safe feeling just in my own home. If I'm having a bad day sometimes and I'm just not in a real good mood, he'll come up and snuggle up to me like, "Hey, Mom, it's okay." I think other people should adopt a pet, and even an older dog. The Lorain County Pound has so many wonderful dogs. All you have to do is go over there and look. I mean, even now, I still go on the website and I tell Salem, "Don't you want a little brother or sister?" Because they have all these little cute dogs over there, and they all need good homes. And if you're looking to adopt a pet, I suggest you try the Lorain County Dog Pound first. I mean, you pay for the license and just a nominal fee, and you got a great dog and a great companion and somebody that's going to be in your life for the rest of your life and they'll love you no matter what.
Hello, my fellow commissioners and I are here at the Lorain County Dog Kennel on Hadaway Street, just south of Elyria City Discount, Value City. We invite you to stop out and see the facility here. We have lots of dogs available for adoption. We also encourage all dog owners to register your dog each year and get a dog license. That's your dog's ticket home in case it gets lost. It has a number and can easily be identified so that your dog can be returned to you in case he or she might take a little walk and you are unaware of it.
Along with the regular licensing that the county requires for all dogs, we also have a special dog license. It's a special heart medical care license tag for an additional $5. And the proceeds from that go to help us when we pick up a stray that's injured, hurt, or needs extreme medical care. It helps defer the cost for us. So next time you get your dog license, please pick up the special heart tag.
The Lorain County Commissioners would like to welcome you to come down to the Lorain County Dog Kennel. We also have a website that you can check out. Just click on Dogs to Adopt. There's plenty of dogs to choose from. It's like this little girl right here. This is Sadie. You can come down, make sure it's a good match for you, take the dog out, take it for a walk. But please, if you're thinking about adopting a dog, come out to the Lorain County Dog Kennel and see if there's a match for you.
Give the Lorain County Dog Kennel a call or check their website for photos of currently available dogs. Remember, your best friend is just waiting for you.
Good morning, Commissioners. If you're ready, we're ready to make our presentation.
We're ready.
As you know, the Lorain County Growth Partnership has been up and running for a few months now. I want to recap a little bit about what's been going on with the Growth Partnership and move into a couple initiatives that have been collaboratively accomplished through the partnership. You're going to see and hear from several of our partners in the Lorain County Growth Partnership that came together on these initiatives. But let me recap a few things on the Lorain County Growth Partnership before we move in. The partnership was established by the Lorain County Board of Commissioners in 2006 to focus on assisting business startups and expansion of current businesses. They bring together resource of government, community, education, and business organizations to develop countywide goals and strategies, and organizes task-specific teams to provide services and support for Lorain County Growth Partnership initiatives. Some of the accomplishments to date. is the county's primary economic development organizations have been physically located to the 5th floor of the Lorain County Administration Building, which includes the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce, Lorain County Community Development, Lorain County Community College Training Facility, which is underway. We have discussed that with the board over the last few weeks. There's a lot of progress being made. The college staff has been out here. We've been working on floor plates, and we're currently discussing an MOU so that we have a clear understanding of responsibilities and roles. I'm encouraged that the project is moving forward, and I'm hoping that sometime in the first quarter of next year, we will start doing the build-out and see some significant progress with our partnership with the college on that. Lorain County Solid Waste was one of the first tenants up on the 5th floor. Team Lorain County is up and staffed and running, and we're looking forward to collaborating with them, and we're already working on some projects with them, and you had a very successful event last week. The ancillary offices are being staffed by some of our partners, such as Glide, Team NEO, PSI. As we develop more and more ability to work on projects together, we'll see more staffing in those offices, and we're looking forward to additional resources being developed and provided on the 5th floor. Currently, we staff up on Tuesday mornings with a full complement of resources. We're calling those our team days on Tuesday mornings. That is the time when a lot of networking is accomplished, and or if projects are being worked on together, everybody has the ability to be present at one location. So it's working fairly well. We've had a little bit of fits and start with our starts, but I'm comfortable that we're progressing in the right direction with that. Some additional comments is ongoing communication with partners in business, local government, and service organizations across Lorain County. Development of strategies to meet real project objectives, development of project teams to move forward with real initiatives, and development of the Lorain County Growth Partnership website to provide information to the public about the organization. Provide a secure, password-protected access to online work groups for real team members to share information and current projects and opportunity. One of the things you're going to hear this morning, and I'm getting ready to pass this presentation because I want to move rapidly through it, we have a lot to present, is about real teams. And Marsha's going to present that to you. You notice the word real is being used a lot in this presentation. And we were looking for something to grab and hold of and demonstrate what's going on in Lorain County. And while we played with the letters several times, you'll see why we ended up with the real team and real emphasis. And with that, I believe it's time for me to pass the presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here representing Dr. Church, who is in Columbus today meeting with Lieutenant Governor-elect Lee Fisher to further advance the higher education agenda, and also in Mr. Fisher's role with the Department of Development and Economic Development to start to lay some groundwork for some of the initiatives that we're working on. So he apologizes for not being here. We have been just absolutely delighted to be part of the planning process and the strategy development that has come together as a result of the Lorain County Growth Partnership. You know, I'm reflecting on, I think it was about a year ago, the unveiling of the concept of the growth partnership that you all had and the vision of what could be accomplished. And I think what you're going to hear throughout this presentation are some of the really exciting forward-moving initiatives that really do speak to the vision that you created in terms of how, when bringing all of the partners together, not only under one roof, as you have done on the 5th floor, but also through the strategy development and also through technology, and we're going to demonstrate some of that for you today. As Jim said, the acronym REAL was really the evolution of looking at what were the 4 primary areas that we were going to be focused on. And those are retention, expansion, attraction, and the 4th one, the L, standing for leadership, because what really has evolved has been through your leadership and then the leadership of all of the partners. It really is, I think, has made such a strong statement, not only for Lorain County, but in some of the work that we have been doing regionally. There is a lot of buzz and talk about all of the right things that are happening in Lorain County as a part of this. The REAL teams really are comprised of individuals who are brought together for specific purposes that would reflect on one of those 4 areas. Some of the primary focuses, it's communication driven, and that probably, if we were to underscore one of the aspects, the open communication to ensure that everyone is on the same page and that we're collaborating and coordinating our efforts is absolutely critical. We are using technology so that it's web-based, so that we have the ability for everyone to view that is part of a team the same type of information, have ongoing postings, and to not have to worry about whether you're present at a meeting or not, but to really deliver anytime, anywhere communications within a team structure. And it's operating at the speed of the internet. It's all in real time. We currently have 6 teams that are operating with different members and leaders, and I think later in the presentation you'll hear from some of those. How do the teams work and how does real work? It's the point of entry into the partnership. As we look at a project, it would be assessed in terms of who needs to be part of that. And in terms of the teams, or the membership of the teams, you have certainly the Lorain County Administrator, Jim Cordes, the County Economic Development Department with Ron Twining and his staff members, the Lorain County JVS, the Employment Network, the Workforce Investment Board, and the Community College as some of the members. And then others are brought in dependent upon what is the goal and what are we trying to achieve. Sub-teams can be assigned if it's specific to a particular employer that different resources need to be brought together. And again, we have team leaders that are designated for each of the 6 teams currently that have ongoing communications out to the members to ensure that everyone is on the same page and that we look for really the leveraging of the resources that everyone can bring to the process so that we are refining it, we're being efficient, and we're not duplicating what others are doing. In terms of the website that has been created, and you'll see a demonstration of this, each of the project pages are archived, and then there's the opportunity for it to be threaded. In other words, you can see from one communication to the next what the postings are for each of the projects. What do we have on the web? This is what we would describe as an intranet, which goes through the internet so that it can go through to the public, but the intranet is password protected so that only the team members are able to access the pages and to look at the information, because in many cases it may be something that is either confidential or proprietary until it becomes, until the project has been finalized. Team members will each have their own password. We've worked with the college's web team to create that and put that together for everyone. Everyone gets their password, and then it really becomes a push and pull type of an environment. In other words, it's up to the individual team members. They can go out, access the information, see what's there, but also as information is being updated, we have the opportunity to immediately send notifications or emails to members of a team to say, new information has been posted to the site or whatever. So it should be highly interactive, and that it would have logs of all of the contacts that are made as a part of it. And we are all committed to ensuring that we post the information as we're working on it and when it's available. And with that, I would like to, oh, I'm sorry. Can we go to the website now, Ernie?
Commissioners, well, we're going to demonstrate a page for you with the password protection. As Marcia indicated to you, one of the problems that we encountered early on while we were forming the Lorain County Growth Partnership was communication. Communication was very, very poor between organizations. We all wanted to work together, but we were struggling to communicate. We started doing group emails and trying to keep the communications working that way, but as you well know, everybody gets literally hundreds of emails a week, and archiving that material becomes difficult. One of the things I discussed this morning, and we haven't told the person that's going to be designing further enhancements to the site, is that we're going to put an automatic on those web pages, so when somebody goes in and posts an event that has occurred with one of the companies that we're working on, there's going to be an automatic message sent out to the people alerting them that there's new information available on that company. This way we don't have to worry about them plugging in and checking periodically to see if there's any new information and/or getting dropped out of the email list. So they will get an alert that something has occurred, and would they visit that page and update themselves on what's going on with the progress of that company. It seems like really simple concepts here, but I can tell you that right now, nobody else is doing it this way. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're simply taking the resources that are out there and we're collecting them into a comprehensive model that will provide good communication across this county and will further enhance getting things done through the Lorain County Growth Partnership. I think we have a page up now. Oh, I have the honor of having my name as the first login. Isn't something bad, is it?
Put something crude in.
Okay, I see Mr. Titilio is preparing for his portion of the...
Now we all know Jim's password.
It's not showing.
Now you can see that we're set up with threads and posts, similar to a lot of the pages you'll see out there. A lot of blog pages use these days. Again, it's not cutting edge technology, but for us it's brand new, and using this technology in a constructive manner that furthers our goals with the Lorain County Growth Partnership is new and exciting for us. I see Shelton is moving around here, and he's going to click through a few things.
Well, the way these individual team sites are set up is there's one for each of the teams. As you can see, when you hover over real projects, the entire site's available to the general public just by going to lcgp.net. However, if you're on one of the real teams, this real projects tab doesn't come up. You'll only see it right now. We only let Jim get into the incumbent worker training team, even though the other teams are already in there. Short description on what the project is. Also discussion boards. So if I want to create a discussion, I can click on here, begin a discussion thread. Running a little slow in here. So if I wanted to start a new thread, I just click on there. It's just like with any other kind of discussion board. Put in the subject, put in your message. On Jim's personal information, he can go in and change that if anytime anyone posts a message on this discussion board, he can get an email, let him know that a discussion, that a new thread has been added or new information has been added. There's also a training team library. You can see Marcia put in a lot of the information on the particular incumbent worker program, the process flow, any kind of training resources documents. These documents can be Word documents, they can be PowerPoints, they can be Excel spreadsheets. Going back to the discussion boards, those two can also not only post discussion information, you can post documents if you want to have a, if you want to refer to a particular document, those can be in here. People who are on these teams have permissions not only to go in, I don't know, just for example, click on one of the documents. Anyone who's on any of these teams do have permission to go in and access these documents. They can replace the old ones with the new ones. They can add new documents, and there is a record of who on the team has gone in and changed documents, so you can see who did it, who the last document owner was, and what that record is.
Great, thank you, Shelton. Shelton wasn't actually supposed to present this morning, so I'm grateful that he's sitting here being able to do that. Commissioners, before we move on, and I want to move on because I know Mr. Randall is already running late and he has a piece to present. I'm sorry, Bill, we went a little later than I thought.
But you will be, huh?
Do you have any questions, any comments on what you see so far?
Very nice job, team.
Okay, with that, we will move to Mr. Titilio, and he will begin the second part of our presentation, which is incumbent worker training.
Thank you, Mr. Cordes. Good morning, Commissioners. It's great to be here this morning. A lot of us have been working a lot of hours trying to make sure that we can build a system that is going to effectively move us to the next level of process, especially when it comes to supporting the business community and keeping our economy healthy. You're seeing two different initiatives this morning that are coming out of the Growth Partnership. The Real Teams, I think, is really an exciting mechanism that allows us to do the kind of things that we want to do in the future. And when I talk to you now about the incumbent worker training piece, you'll see that really this incumbent worker training piece was really the first real team for us. It was a work in progress for us as we were trying to design and build real teams. And a lot of the work that's come out of this is really helped us to focus on how the real teams are going to work and what kind of impact they're going to have. One of the important issues I think that we began to understand, and everybody needs to understand, is that we're all working at this from a specific area, and that is to build a healthy local economy for Lorain County. And to do that, there are a number of items that really need to be addressed, but two of them certainly are the fact that our companies need to be globally competitive so that the economy is healthy and they continue to create jobs. And also, our workforce needs to be world-class. And what I mean by that is they need to be trained and upskilled so that the companies that they're working for can compete globally and be able to have an effective process. Over the last 10 to 12 years, we have built a number of collaboratives around workforce and workforce issues, because workforce has always been a critical part of how the local economy grows. Back in the mid-90s, we put together a collaboration called the Workforce Institute. That was a collaboration between the college, the JVS, and the Chamber of Commerce that took a look at issues related to the workforce, the existing workforce, and then also took a look at future issues with the workforce and what kind of projects and processes we needed to have in place so that we could keep the future workforce in the right position. The second initiative that we worked on that had to deal with workforce issues was the employment network. This is a collaboration of a number of partners, all of which I think there's about 12, I believe, altogether, that really worked on trying to understand how we could build a system that could work with employers and meet their needs from a hiring standpoint and a training standpoint, and also to work with the employees or the future employees in job opportunities, in job matching, in processes. That process has been in place since the late 90s and early 2000. And then the training network kind of was a piece that was put together simultaneously with the employment network. There really was a collaboration between the college and the JVS, and they got together and they worked really diligently to try to put the processes together that made training a more effective tool for businesses in Lorain County. And this latest effort is with regards to incumbent workers. Incumbent workers are workers who are employed at this present time. We do have and have had money over the past to train dislocated workers, but the real critical issue for a number of us has been how do we train the existing workforce so that they can upskill, so that they can make their companies be more competitive. This morning, we're going to get a chance to take a look at how we're proactively, trying to assist local companies in identifying the needs at the local level, at their incumbent worker level. This training is certainly going to be designed to take a look at helping make companies more competitive. Excuse me. This collaboration started like most of our collaborations with individual organizations, all looking at common issues. But I think because the partnership was in place and that we were looking at designing real teams, that we had a really good opportunity to put in place a group of individuals who really wanted to be involved in this incumbent worker piece that was a critical component for our economy. I really think that with the efforts of what we've been able to do to lobby to get some dollars allocated for incumbent workers, that we're now getting ready to launch a program that I think that will have a different kind of impact on existing companies, to give them a better attitude and a better process and a better platform so that they can provide those kind of training needs and have them coordinated through this through the partnership. At this point in time, I'd like to pass this presentation on to Vivian Alexander to talk a little bit about the incumbent worker training services part of the process.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Vivian.
First, before I get started, I would like to say that this has been a great opportunity for me to sit around the table with some talented individuals that have a wealth of knowledge, and I think the county should be thankful to have such great assets that really know what works and what doesn't work. And I find myself to be one that is learning quite a bit from these individuals. So please bear with me as I go through this slide presentation for you. Okay. The guidelines and process. This incumbent worker training is funded by the Workforce Investment Act. In March, the Department of Labor passed a waiver to allow us to take adult and dislocated workers to fund the training. And I think that this is going to be a great opportunity. And during this process, we decided to target companies that had employees either from 1 to 300 employees. And the company proposals will identify how their training will facilitate the company's growth strategy. So the process actually started and came down around the spring of this year. And next you have the business requirements. We came up with some guidelines that will allow that the companies must be a for-profit business and must have been in the operation of Lorain County for at least a minimum of 1 year. And they may not have no more than 300 employees. We chose not to exceed that number. They must demonstrate a financial viability and must be current on all state taxes. And these were just guidelines that we were trying to put in place that would give us a way to kind of gauge and judge how we were going to view the companies. And they must contribute 50% of the cost in order to receive incumbent worker dollars. And that can be done either way, in cash or in kind. That's something that we weren't expecting, but it's something that we do have to follow suit on. And then the next one, and priority is going to be given to businesses with, just please bear with me. I'm not going to read everything. I just kind of tried to break it down a little bit for you. Some of it is self-explanatory, but we want to help companies accelerate growth. I mean, that's what it's really designed for. It wouldn't benefit if we weren't trying to get outcomes like that. We want to encourage bringing new money into Lorain County. And in review of national and statewide economic development, for the last bullet on here that you'll see regarding the businesses that meet the definitions of emerging technology, in review of national and statewide economic development initiatives, most are focused around these clusters. Next, please. And regarding the training services, we are looking at, when we're talking about can be provided through public or private educational institutions, we're looking at such places as Lorain County Community College, the JVS, EHOBE, or some private vendors. So there's just a host that I can name. Those are just a few that I did name. And for private post-secondary institutions, we just, going through the review process, we just want to make sure that what they put before us, that they're going to spend the money like they've stated that they want to do it. So that's going to be part of the process. Next, please. And for the awards, we may find all the applications will be evaluated to leverage other state funding. There's probably other state funding that's available. We may find some companies that, after going through a review process, the incumbent worker training may not be what works for their company. So there may be another training process that we'll put in place that will actually work for the company. So there are some federal and state dollars out there that may help to offset that if the incumbent worker training is not what their company does need. And businesses approved for funding enter into a contract. That's just kind of standard language, for the final process of how the contract's going to be awarded. And I believe that's all I have to present, and I do thank you. So I'm going to turn it over to Jammer Barsick, the Director of Employment Network.
Good morning. As Vivian talked about in her presentation, there were some guidelines and activities that we had to come up with, one consistent with the legislation, one consistent with state regulations, and also consistent with some of the decisions that we wanted to do locally. But I think it's really critical when you look at this next set that, which is the process, that we've tried to make it as painless as possible for the employers in terms of them accessing the resources that are out there. So we start this at the bottom of the slide that's there, called employer outreach. And as we discussed earlier, in order to pilot this, what we're going to do is really have some conversations about companies that we can target that have that growth potential, companies who would truly benefit from training that would kind of tip them over to that higher growth level. And so there will be a group of people who we call the leadership team who will actually go out and meet with those employers and talk to them about this new process or this new program. That leadership really will be representatives of the growth partnership as well as representatives from the private sector who can get access to some of the employers that are out there relatively quickly. One of the things we really, the way we're looking at this is that we're trying to pilot this activity between January 1st and the end of June to help refine the process, to make sure that the kinds of things we're asking of businesses are realistic and that we have things in place. So there will be some target employers for that pilot process, although I believe it's the commitment of the team that any business out there who has been able to find out about this, who have these needs, can also be talked to once we get through kind of some of those growing pains that we have with any new process. Once the outreach has occurred, a consulting team will actually be sent out if a business is interested in pursuing the conversation. And we talked a lot about this in the design to say that a lot of times businesses don't have the resources to stop work and really think strategically about their longer-term plans. And so, again, in order to try to facilitate companies making good decisions about the kinds of training that are out there or the resources that are available to them, we will actually send out a team of folks who are really experts in these areas, people who understand human resource processes, people who understand training and the role that it plays in a company, people who can be very realistic with businesses about the commitment it's going to take in order to be successful to integrate the training into their organizations. And so that consulting team will go out then and follow up with an employer to really do that need assessment. As somebody who's done a lot of work with the private sector, a lot of times what we see is that the need is articulated one way. I need to train my workers, but the reality is that there's a lot of other things around that also we can access in terms of resources. So we may go in and do a training program, and we had this experience actually with one of the real companies that we've been working with over the last couple of months. The employer really identified the need for some training, but the more we talked, we also understood that they had no infrastructure for hiring. They didn't have proper steps. They didn't have job descriptions that really were accurately reflecting the need that the company had. And so, not stopping and saying, oh, we're going to just do this training, we said, here are all the resources that are available in the county. Here's how you can take advantage of the expertise that exists in terms of assessment that the JVS had. Here's how you can take advantage of the resources that the college can have in terms of the specific training program. And here's how the Employment Network can help you recruit and screen candidates that you can ultimately hire. So we wanted to be really clear that that consulting team will actually sit down, do some need identification, and then draft a plan that takes advantage of all of the resources that are out here in terms of workforce development, and also make that connection to economic development. What we might also find is that the company could be in a situation where getting access to funds to help expand their building or relocate in that community would be a good thing. Once that plan is drafted, the team will then go back and sit with the employer and appropriate labor representatives, if that's the case. I think that when you look at models of this activity across the country, what you see is that if if organized labor is in place in the facility, it's critical that there's a partnership and agreement upon how the training will be integrated into the workplace. If not, it's also important that the employees understand that the activities that are being done are really being done in the best interest of the company's growth, but also long-term employment for the people that are working there. So it's the intention of this design that we work very closely with management and employees to make sure that they're clear about the kinds of activities that will go on. And then from there, we'll do that last final screen, that collection of documentation. Again, with anything, as some of the slides that Vivian showed you, there are requirements in terms of information we have to collect. We have to verify that the business is viable, that it's current on its taxes and all those kinds of things. And so we'll have to do some of that as painlessly as possible, trying to collect as much of the information as we can without, being invasive in terms of, the company's private business. But really, we're required to do that kind of activity. And then finally, that plan will be presented back to that leadership team, that original group of people, to have them kind of do the due diligence on it. Is this a legitimate plan? Is it really part of something that will help advance the county's agenda? Have all the T's and I's been crossed so that when it moves from back then to the Workforce Investment Board and ultimately to you, that you could be confident that the questions have been asked? Not to say you can't ask questions, but to say that folks have really done due diligence to say this is a good investment of these very scarce resources on behalf of the company, and ultimately should lead to some really positive and exciting things for the county. So if you look at the process, I think the first thing that Mr. Cordes said, and I think Mr. DiTilio said the same thing in the design, is like, how long is this going to take? And it's not designed to take a long time. It's designed to make sure that the company has good dialogue with people who can help diagnose the situations, that we, as the team of people who are putting together those original plans, really listen to the company and respond to what they're saying, and then give them a chance to review the plan and say, yes, this will help meet our needs. These are the pieces that we're interested. Here are the things that we want changed in that plan. And then the process then would go to the Workforce Investment Board as well as the commissioners, which is how that relationship needs to work. The Workforce Investment Board, because they're on your behalf overseeing that money on a day-to-day basis, ultimately then coming it back to you. So while it looks like lots of steps, I think it really is a very fluid kind of activity. We could be working with more than one company at a time. I think it's a way for us to kind of lay out what companies can expect when they say, yes, we might be interested in this, or kind of read about it or hear about it and say, this is something we want to take advantage of. As with anything, the most important thing that a lot of people will talk about is what are the outcomes? What are the things that you want to see happen when it comes to this? And so we really have spent some time with developing some of those tangible measures that we have to, as well as some of those other kinds of measures that will ultimately contribute to the overall success of this program. And so I'm going to turn the program over to Bill Randall, the superintendent at the JVS.
Good morning and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Mr. Cordes and I are appropriately attired, and he's got my tie on. Well, they left the educator to talk about expectations and outcomes. I guess those are big words and hot topics in the education field today. Actually, to have a process and know whether you're effective, you have to start with a set of expectations and outcomes, to measure your success. And so we really have four groups that will be looking at us. We'll be looking at ourselves in relation to these various groups, as I would call them, to see if we're meeting expectations, whether we're meeting our outcomes. And obviously, one is the state, because there's state money involved because of the WIA, and the state always has. We always have to meet hold our feet to the fire for some performance measures in about anything we do. And some of those measures are the retention of workers that are trained to stay in the workforce and with the company, hopefully, that they're trained with. Skills, that's fairly measurable. Obviously, that's a measurable objective. Skills upgrade, a little harder to measure, but certainly through the credentials that are issued by the institutions that would do the training, we would have a measure there. Wage increase, hopefully, that the people that are trained and have a higher degree of skills, a higher level of skills, and more skills would receive additional pay. And of course, we have to track the failures too, the non-positives. Unfortunately, nobody's perfect and no program is perfect, so we'll have to hopefully have the successes outweigh by manyfold the non-positive outcomes that we might have. The other, the second group would be the employer-employee outcomes. And I think it's important to note, and I think you've seen this thread through the whole process, and Jan alluded to it, and I'll speak a little more to it about it, that this has to be customer-driven. This has to be what the company needs. And Jan spoke very well to that. We can't package product and go out and take it and peddle it. It has to be their product. I did this for about 21 years in another JVS district as the adult ed director, and I've had many conversations with people. You have to do what they need, and you have to do a very strong analysis, because probably all they can tell you about their training needs is what the symptoms are. And the symptoms may not be reflective of the real problems they have. So this has to be a customer-driven process. And it has to be both the employers and the employees of the company generally who help drive the process. So, especially where there's organized labor involved. The organization has to be on board with the training or it will not work. So it is I would say, a user-defined process. We've got computer people here, user-defined. And the identified needs have to come from that group. The third group that has expectations of what we're going to be doing is the workforce and economic development system. You know, we have to try to have a strategic alignment of the economic and workforce development resources. We have to put everybody in the picture that needs to be in the picture for a particular process. And you know, obviously, we spoke to that. We have to be proactive. The fourth group is the community. And I think on the slides you'll see on their community, more competitive, obviously a more competitive workforce is a huge outcome there. And that plays into the retention, the expansion, all the things that the real team needs to do. So, you know, if you can go out and brag what a great workforce we have, and we can prove it by the high level of training they have, and you see it in their performance, and we can do more, that certainly is good for the community. But in my experiences, I see even a few additional things that I editorialized here. If you'll excuse me, I spent a long time working in this area. I think one of the things that you will see in the community is more worker loyalty. If you invest in me, I'm going to have more respect for you and be more dedicated and more likely to stay with a company. That's part of that hierarchy of needs. People want to feel loved, and I guess if you train me and make me better, it shows a little of that love. I think it also sets a tone in our community that you know how things, you know, the hallway conversations, well, we're doing this and we're doing that. You know, I hear it in my profession quite often. You hear it. Ted, you were just at a big meeting. You probably did as much by having somebody by the buttonhole in the hallway as you did in the big meetings. That I think this success of companies doing this will breed success. That other companies will want to upgrade their workforce. Potential employees will see that companies invest in their workers, and we'll be able to attract the best employees to our companies. And potential employers will look at a community that does this for their employers and works hard to accomplish these things to upgrade the workforce, and will be more interested in Lorain County if these things happen. We have two wonderful institutions that can do this work, so it's important to recognize that. And I think another thing that it does is it builds worker self-esteem. I'm sure that Marcia sees this at the college. We see it at the JVS, that sometimes some people have had a hard time in school. And if in a different setting, in a different set of circumstances, they can succeed with education and training, that they'll want more. And they'll be able to climb that career ladder through a company and really elevate themselves and the company productivity-wise, their ability to take on additional tasks or whatever it may be. That self-esteem is a big piece. People believe they can't do it, they won't. People believe they can, will. So thank you for the opportunity this morning. I think this is a great effort that we have, and I'm going to turn it over to the man with my tie on, Mr. Cortez. we get together to decide which day we're going to wear which Christmas tie, so here he is.
We almost wore the same one the night of the events. Good thing I saw you that morning at a different meeting. People would have been talking. Commissioners, we're going to pull up a piece here that we're going to be using to demonstrate the program. I'm going to provide you a couple copies here. I think I gave you a book with these in there. One of the things we wanted to demonstrate at this point was that all this information is web-based. Everything that we do right now, we're trying to make it web-based so it's easy for the companies to work on it. This is the piece that we put together with the current training that's available so that we could deliver something quickly into the workplace. I will indicate to you that this is an evolving process, that it will become more complicated as we find out what the needs of the companies are going to be more fully. But these are services that are easily deliverable right now through our current partnerships with JVS and Lorain Community College. The program definitely will be able to be used for other types of trainings, but we felt it essential that we get something going now and get the program moving now, especially since some of our dollars are critical that have to be spent before the end of June. So we needed to get a program on the street to do that, and we're still waiting on some additional dollars. I believe that we have an initial $166,000 to start with a 50% in-kind or direct dollar match. You can see we have $320,000, $325,000 towards the program. We're hoping for another 275, up to 500. I'm waddling Ms. Alexander as we speak here. So if we got another $500,000 and there's a 50% match, we have $1 million program. So there is a lot at stake here for this program, and success is going to be critical because we're being watched very closely, and we can set the tempo and the pace and be the role model for development of these type programs. And here is the piece up here, and I don't know if Marcia has anything to add on that.
And you have copies of it, but this is just, we wanted to put on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper something very succinct that would provide the employer with an overview of the types of opportunities. However, you know, as Bill Randall indicated, it would be very customized to whatever that specific need is for that employer. But we wanted to have something to at least present to them, and that reflects the entire growth partnership and the support of the county and the partners, and what some of the opportunities for training and education are.
Rod?
Good morning, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to wrap up this session this morning, so we are nearing the end. It certainly has been my pleasure on your behalf to work with all of these people on these two initiatives that we're announcing today. And as we wrap up today's presentation, I'd like to state a few facts. They're on the screen right now. Ohio has certainly in the last 10, 15 years been known nationwide as a battleground state. It's actually been known that for quite some time longer, but it's really gotten legs in the last 10 or 15 years. Often I think our residents understand that being a battleground state means we're wounded and scarred. Some would actually believe that we're mortally wounded. I don't think that's the case, and I want to take just a few seconds to point some of the points out that we have here. If you look at the metropolitan statistical areas that the federal government uses, we are now part of the Cleveland, Akron, Elyria, and Lorain CMSA. That is the 16th largest population center, employment center in the nation. Right ahead of us is St. Pete, St. Paul is behind us in Minnesota, and right directly ahead of us is Mesa, Phoenix in Arizona. So you can see population-wise, that's an important thing that we shouldn't lose sight of in our region of Northeast Ohio. Take that and realize that Ohio is the 7th most populated state in this nation, and that between the 1990 and 2000 population numbers, you know, we heard how everything was deplorable and we were losing population and all of that. We still were the 9th largest state in the nation. So we were growing faster than everybody but 8, I'm sorry. Lorain County, certainly as a county itself within this 7th most populated area, we have, as a county, we're the 9th largest population center of the state. We end up with the 25th geographic largest area in the state. Housing units, we are number 10 with 111,000 housing units. And we also end up number 11 with the density of housing units in the state of Ohio. So we're in a very populated state with a state that is larger than certainly most in the country. And we shouldn't lose sight of that as we see the decline. I think we have an openness here in Lorain County to talk about what's happening, what trends are, both good and bad, and that ends up getting lost in the shuffle. We do have a growing economy. There are some sectors clearly that have declined and will likely continue to decline more because of the world marketplace that we've worked in. The county as a whole, and certainly the Board of County Commissioners, have been very proactive in recent years, creating everything from this partnership, going back to GLIDE and the Workforce Investment Board, and even the college with the Entrepreneurial Center. All have been an effort to keep Lorain County focused on what is really important and allows companies to grow within this region and in the world market. Next, we want to talk about what makes Lorain County and what will continue to make Lorain County important, and why the real team and the incumbent worker portion is so critical. There are 3 things that make for a healthy economy, and I don't care where you're at in the world, those 3 things still exist. You either make it, you grow it, or you mine it. We make things very well here in Lorain County. We grow things extremely well. Agriculture in the county is a $94 million operation, so we should know that we make things very well and that we grow things very well. The 2 initiatives you heard today show a cooperation between the private sector, educational segments of the county, and government collaborating to make Lorain County a formidable force to be dealt with. Our true purpose of these programs and several others is to make businesses successful and profitable. Government itself, again, we don't create jobs from my office. We provide incentives for the private sector to create the jobs, and that's an important thing that also sometimes get lost. One thing that we've done and will continue to do, we had a very, very successful December 6th showcase event where we selectively invited in companies to come to the 5th floor, to see what we were doing up there, to begin slowly to educating the public and the business community on the potential. Events like what we're holding today will get out to people so that they can better acquaint themselves with not just county government, but all of the partners, and that's the important part. One thing, and I know that this probably will generate moans, but one thing that we like to do is say that we have real results from real teams in rapid time for the real world. It's a little bit like the 800-pound beast. Which would you rather have, or which would you rather be confronted with? An 800-pound gorilla or 800 one-pound squirrels? At times we have the 800 one-pound squirrels that we're dealing with. The real team, we feel, is the next step with the partnership to better manage and bring all of the partners together to make a healthier county environment for our businesses and industry in Lorain County. And I applaud everybody in their cooperation and efforts, and I believe Mr. Cortez would like the final comments.
Thank you, Ron. Commissioners, let me point out that you've seen most of the people that worked on developing the incumbent worker training. I'd like to also thank Peggy Mitchner from JVS, Terry Good from the Workforce Institute, and Jim Shanahan from Lorain Community College. There was a lot of players that came together, spent a lot of time working on this project for the betterment of the community. All I can say is that the Lorain County Growth Partnership is working. We're coming together. We're starting to see some outcomes. We're going to deliver more outcomes from you in the first quarter of next year. The risk that you have taken, the investment that you have made is well placed. You are pioneering new challenges for us, and we're going to deliver results for you. It's going to take time. I always said that the Lorain County Growth Partnership would take a year or two to mature. We need to continue to nurture it. We need to continue to make the relationships, and we need to continue to move forward. But Lorain County is real. It is really happening, and we're going to produce real results. And I thank you for your commitment to this and your ongoing support and your continued desire to improve this community. And with that, I'll open it up to the board for any questions. I'm hoping you have some significant thinking on how we're doing to date. Thank you.
I'll go. Too many things to comment on. Sort of when Jan spoke about growing pains, I guess they're good growing pains. We're going from like a very talented junior college basketball player to LeBron James when it comes to economic development in Ohio. We spoke about this when we were down in Columbus Commissioners meeting. People had heard about the County Growth Partnership, and it's very near and dear to me. Finding qualified help with the incumbent worker training, it makes private sector companies more competitive. Always finding help is tough. When you have good help, you want to make it available to them, become even better help for you. You can pay them more, they can provide better for their families, and hopefully stay with you longer. You want the long-term employee, they're more valuable to you. It's nice to see where the private and the public sector are working towards the betterment of the county. The team is a great team. You guys really put a lot of work into this. I've been talking about incumbent worker training for 3 or 4 years, knowing that Ohio was holding our money, and you guys were able to bring it together. Thank you very much. It's finally coming back up north. All the money that we've sent down south to Columbus is finally coming back north to us for our constituents, and it's folks like you, Bill Randall, JVS Jan Barsick, Ron Twining, Vivian Alexander, Jim Cortez, Marcia Ballinger, too many to mention, Roy Church, really working together on this, which has never been done before in Lorain County. So, I mean, this is probably the best thing since I've been in office that we've accomplished, and just keep working hard, and whatever you need, come see us. And I need my password so I can be a part of the real teams.
Can we trust you with the
Because I always have an opinion.
Can we trust you with the confidential information?
Without a doubt, sir.
If you can't trust him, who can you trust?
Well, I think that
This is
he has
Lorain,
been.
this is county government.
I think that Commissioner Kalo has been taken to task a few times on confidential information. But, we'll definitely get the commissioner's passwords and access to the levels that they need.
Thank you.
I have no comment. Thank you.
I think the biggest thing, I'm really excited about the growth partnership, and we have a lot of talented people in this room today that have been working on these types of issues for a long, long time, and I have all the respect for you, and I believe together we're going to do it, and we're going to bring more jobs, and we're going to retain more jobs, so I'm really excited about it. Communication is key, and I think Roy Church said it best. For a company coming to locate here in Lorain County, there's no wrong door for them to knock on. And all the entities are in the same place, so thank you.
Again, thank you, commissioners. That concludes our presentation. One last thought. We were actually able to come together and put this program together in less than, I want to say 2.5 months. Anybody from the team want to? I think it was about 2.5 months, and the growth partnership and the collaboration that we're developing allowed us to do that very quickly. In the past, we've been so busy putting a program together, we lost the timing on it and have lost economics before. So if nothing else, we're being forced to work together and get things done. Thanks very much for your time and patience this morning, and that concludes our presentation.
Thank you.